family, welcome back to Sunshine and Chaos Budgeting. I'm going to be doing some canning today. I'm going to be making some light kidney beans for chili, and I thought I'd bring you along. I'm going to show you what I have. Remember, I have a video coming up, if it's not already up, of my Catico burner, and this is my All-American canner. It holds 7 quarts and so many pints, I can't remember. It's been a while. But anyway, I have my beans. They call it look at your beans. It's looked, meaning you check for bad beans and stones. You rinse your beans really good. I've done all of that. And I'm going to be doing a method that some people call rebel canning. But I watch a Mennonite lady who does these. And this is how she does them. And I trust that she knows what she's doing. And I've been canning long enough to know I've done them this way too. And it reaffirms what I know and makes me really happy with this canning choice for myself. Please do your own research when it comes to canning. Be always read up really well for preserving and canning foods. Okay, I'm just going to put that disclaimer out there. Just really know everything, because many canners do many things. I go back to people like the Mennonites who've been canning for years and their process of canning food. Now, some of them still do things I'm not skeptical of, but I don't feel the confidence to do as they do. So in saying that, I really love Ruth Ann over at the, I think it's the Homestead, the Zimmerman's Homestead or something like that. I love Ruth Ann. She's so sweet. She's a great channel. Homesteading with the Zimmermans, I believe is the name of her channel. Anyway, shout out to her. I don't know if you're allowed to do that on this side of things, but anyway, I've got my inspiration from her and from many, many others over the years for canning. And so today I'm going to be canning these light red beans. And this is my All-American canner. And it is the first time using this burner. So with the pressure canner, I have to be out here. I have to be watching it until it's done. There's no way around it. You never leave a canner undone or away from, because the temperatures could drop or go up over and to dangerous levels. So you're always where your canner is. So I'm going to grab my computer today and be out in my dining room. I'm going to have my timer set. These beans are going in quarts. I'm going to do everything cold. So my water's going into my canner cold. The water is going over my beans cold with some Red Mill real salt. Don't use iodized table salt. Use a canning salt or Himalayan salt, sea salt, something that doesn't have caking agents in it, because it clouds your food and it doesn't look pretty, and they don't recommend it in the USDA. They recommend you use a real salt, no caking agents, or iodized, or whatever they call it. I never say the word right. But anyway, I've got my lids on warm. I'm using my 4-jar lids today. I have all wide mouth, so that'll make it easier. 1 cup of beans, they're just rinsed and still dry, uncooked, going into each jar, and then the rest of it's getting filled with cold water and the salt. I'll debubble just to mix my salt in, and these are going to vent for 10 minutes. That means there's going to be a steady stream coming off my vent. I'm going to time it for 10 minutes. When that happens, I'll put my regulator on. I'm going to go through the steps with you first and then show you as I'm doing them also, okay? So it's going to vent for 10 minutes. I'm going to time it. Make sure I get that full 10 minutes. It's very important because that's building pressure in your canner. So let me move up a little bit just for you to see the canner. That's the top of it. I also have to oil this canner, so I need to do that before because it'll lock in and it won't want to come open. It needs, I usually use Vaseline. I can't find it, so I'm going to use some cooking oil and make sure I lubricate my lid and the inside of my canner so it will come open, because literally it might lock itself in place and just be a real bear to get open. So I'm going to make sure I do that also. I'm going to check my venting pipe and everything to make sure everything's loose, working like it's supposed to, and there is no debris in it, and lock everything in place. I'll do all of that. Once that venting, though, is done for the 10 minutes, I'll put my regulator on, let it get up to 15 pounds pressure for my area, and always check your area with your local canning people or whoever you need to go through to make sure you're canning under pressure And for times or whatnot, whatever they might be, make sure you're checking your area for them, okay? I'm just saying that that is something we all need to do for safety and preservation of food and to kill the botulism and anything else, you know, to make our food safe. So anyway, so it's going to vent 10 minutes, put the regulator on. When it comes up to 15 pounds pressure, it's going to time for 90 minutes for quarts and 75 minutes for pints. If you're going to use any other size jar, please check for, again, what your manuals and all of that say for those canning things to make sure you're canning safely. So I'm going to get the camera now on the other side. I wanted to show you what it looked like for where I'm going to be working. I've also got some vinegar with some paper towel that I'm going to wipe my jars. It's in that little flower lid right there with the paper towel sticking up. And I have my salt over here and I'm good to go. It's not going to take long. So I'm going to slow me down and make sure I do all the steps to this. You cannot be in a hurry with canning. Just double check everything until you, especially if you're new at it. I've been doing this for 14 years and I still make sure my kitchen is clean, my jars are clean, my area is clean, and my lids are what they're supposed to be and all of that, because it is preserving food. So with that said, I encourage you, just look up everything, be well researched, and then you'll have a plan if you decide to can, so that you can get beautiful jars in your pantry and how to store them, okay? And all of that good stuff. So I'm gonna put you on the other side and I'm gonna get me canning. All right, it's not, you don't have to, but I'm gonna put a glove on. The hand that's helping scoop the beans, and then yeah, I have one hand that's not. I'm doing, all my jars are clean, and I'm going to do 1 cup of beans in each jar first. Do everything in steps. When you do steps, you don't forget anything. Because if I did salt now and after a few minutes, for me anyway, I would forget. And they do recommend do it in steps. My canner's completely off. I'm not doing anything until I have everything set up. I'll put my water in, I'll put my plant jars in, my salt in here, and then I add a little bit of vinegar. The only thing I really got to remember to do is that oil on my lid, okay? Help me remember, y'all. All right, so I have a few more beans. I'm just going to spread them out over the jars. Waste not, want not, y'all. I'm excited to have kidney beans back in my pantry. I have none right now, and it's so expensive. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is a teaspoon of salt in each one. Salt does not help your preserving of your food. It's just for flavor, y'all. So if you don't want to add salt, you don't have to. But it does help them have a nice flavor. You could also add chili powder. If you want to be specific with what you're doing with these, I want these open to do other things like put in soup or whatnot. So I'm just going to leave them. I call them chili beans. Oops, I got 2 in that one. Oh, I didn't look down. So I hope it's not too much. Maybe we'll spoon some of that out. I'll just take the beans and all to get some of that salt. I don't want them too salty. All right, that should be good. We're going to add cold water to these. Then we're going to add do our rims, add our lids that are warm. They're hot. They're in hot water, but not boiling. And they're over behind me on the stove. So I'll get them in a minute. Let's get to the next step, though. The other thing I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to get me a paper towel so I can do my canner. my lid. Okay, sorry to step out a minute, y'all, but I need to make sure I remember everything. So you just go around, I hope y'all can see me. You're just going around the whole lid. If you haven't, you're new to the American canner. This is a very big canner, and it definitely needs the oil because this is metal on metal. It does not have a rubber seal. Yeah, my sugar's off a little today. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I do the inner and this outer where they're going to all come together. I haven't used this in a while, so I want to make sure I do everything right. The next thing is my lid. I'm going to put some around the lid. See if it's picking it up. Make sure there's some oil on there. It don't have to be a great deal, it just has to be on there. And it's just going on the rim right here. Can you see? Okay, so I was probably out of camera, but you're going on that rim right here, okay? And you went all around the top and then inside of your canner. It's not going to hurt anything. You can. I use Vaseline normally, but I don't have any. So this is what we're doing. I even do these a little bit. And that's all there is to it. I'm just going to go one more time around to make sure I got all of it. And then I'm going to set this aside while I get my water. And I'll be right back. So I'm doing cold water in my jars. So I'm doing cold water in my canner. Once I get everything in there, then I'll turn my heat on. Now, I said cold, but I'm going to make it almost like it's room temperature. It's not warm, hot. It's just not even baby bath. It's just like room temperature water. You're going 1 inch headspace. To do 1 inch headspace, it's where the bottom rim starts coming up to be the collar of your jar. It's that very last one. Headspace is very important. It's different for everything or different things that you can. So you always need to know it's not always just 1 inch headspace. Your 1 inch headspace is very important. There are people that can tell you better what that means. But that's for air to escape and for your pressure and all of those good things that need to happen in your jar. So I'm not going to try to explain it because you know me. If you've been around a little bit, sometimes I have a hard time with words. Words fail me. But research it also so that you know what headspace means and what your recipe calls for that headspace. Because headspace is different for different recipes, like I said. So always make sure you know what you're doing. Times for cooking and canning are different depending on what you're doing. So that's another thing. It's different for different types of food. Beans always have to be pressure canned. They cannot be water bath canned. Same with meat. The next thing I'm going to do is stir my beans, get my salt mixed in. Now, I had always heard that when beans rise to the top, take them out, they're not good. But I just watched Ruth Ann, the Mennonite lady, do hers, and she had a bunch of floating beans, and I'm like, well, that might be a myth. All right, so I believe I got everything. Now I'm going to take, sorry y'all, I know I've told y'all before, asthmatic, and sometimes I just cough. I'm going to take and do all my rims. I'm super excited to be canning again. This gives you opportunity to make sure you have no chips. Clean your rim. In case you get salt, oil, whatever on the sauce, whatever could come up on your canning. Excuse me. Try not to even cough on my hand right now, y'all. All right, so now we're going to put our lids on, and we're going to get these started hopefully soon. I'm going to take the whatever vinegar I have left, and I'm going to put vinegar in my canner. I've oiled my lid now. I'm double checking myself, so if I talk a lot and I repeat myself, it's for me too. I'm checklisting myself. So I have wiped my rims. I have my cup of beans, my water, room temperature, my salt, wiped my rims, putting my lid on. I'm going to add the extra vinegar in my already oiled lid and canner. I'm doing my checklist, y'all, so that I make sure I have everything done. Okay, finger tight. This one still gets me sometimes because I'm like, is that too tight? So you're getting it on like that, and then you're giving it another you're not wrenching down on it, okay? You're basically, you've got it finger tight right there, right? And then you go so that it's on there. I'm going to go ahead and add my my beans to my canner. And I've prayed over my canning that the Lord will make it safe, stable for shelf, that He'll make it nutritious and delicious, and all my jars will seal, and that I'll have a very good day of canning in Jesus' precious holy name. And this is what they look like before, and they're going into the canner. I'll show you what the canner looks like. I'm sure many of you have probably already seen canning videos, but I'll show you what the canner looks like once I get everything in and I get the water on. And I'm ready to seal my canner. Now, like I said, it's the first time using my Catechol burner, so I'm, and these lids, the 4-jar lids. So everything's a little bit of a learning curve. But I guess you'll see this video if it all turns out, or you'll see it because I made mistakes and want you not to do what I did. Now what's really weird is I had an electric canner I had purchased, and I'm hoping I get my money back, but I did send it back to Amazon because everything after the first set of beans that I did, they didn't turn out, unfortunately. There was a flavor in them I just could not stand. I just was like, I don't want these on my shelf because I'll never want to eat them. So I decided I was going to get a new recipe. I found one with Ruth Ann that I'm going to be trying for. It's Boston baked beans, by the way. And they tasted burned. I don't know what it was. And I had the electric Presto canner that I had purchased, and I decided to send it back. All right, so there's no water in here. Another thing, do not ever let your canner burn dry. It's got 90 minutes of processing on a pretty fairly, temperature, and you never want it to run dry because it will work for your pressure canner. So keep that in mind. Let me get this moved away, and I'm going to be checking my canner next to make sure I get the right water in there, because that terrifies me. And there's nothing worse than you get to a point where you have everything perfect. You lock it down, you get your heat coming up, and it's starting to get pressure in there, and you're wondering, do I have enough water in there? I'll show you, and every canner is different. I'm going to probably put about 3 quarts of water in here just to be safe, and then see where that sits on my jars. Don't overfill, and don't cover your jars with pressure canning. That's a no-no too. You're just getting that water level to about right here inside that canner. You have no worries at that point. It's, for me, I think it's about 3 quarts, but like I said, I got to revisit all of this, make sure where it's at, and I'll let you know, and I'll show you. But I'm going to go ahead and get things moved so that I can get to the next step. All right, I'm trying to see if you can see in there. It's really odd. And I need to definitely see in there. So let me look real quick. About an inch is what Ruth Ann said, about an inch at the jars, to the bottom of the jars. Daisy, what are you doing? Come on, let me put her out real quick. Go outside. Last thing I need her doing is getting sick in the house. I'm lucky y'all didn't tip. Okay. I had to let Daisy out. She was choking on dog water. I don't know why. Okay, let me check this real quick and I'll be back. I want to double check my water. It's about an inch up on your jar, the bottom of your base of your jar. And so let me do that real quick. That's what they look like inside the canner. There's 7 in there. So that means I'm going to get 7 cans, by God's grace, of red beans for chili and such. Even some soups for my pantry. Okay, yeah, I apologize. The dogs are outside. They're being crazy. I am on my burner. It's still off. I've got my jars filled, and I've done my best to show you. I've got about an inch to an inch and a half of water at the bottom of my canner, because this is going 90 minutes. Maybe 2 inches. It's a big canner. It takes a lot of heat. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in, and there's an arrow right here, and there's a line. So I'm going to make sure these are even for pressure for the canner, and that it's kind of settled on itself really good, and that arrow, I don't know if you can see it, I'm going to show you, I'll move, that arrow lines up with this right here, which I think it does. And also, I'm going to move this back out since it's not on, I'll be able to do that. This lock hooks right there. So if anything happens and I happen to go way over pressure, I pass out and no one's here to watch it, so to speak, it's not going anywhere. That's a scary thought, isn't it? Kind of morbid. So anyway, so that's what you do. You make sure you're all set, and I play with this a little bit because I'm revisiting everything. All right, so the next thing you do, and I wish I could make you a little taller, I just can't. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I could do something else. Okay, we're going to try this. So you have your little knobbies here. You're going to bring them up. What you're going to do before you tighten anything down is you're going to go to the opposite side, and you're going to bring that up. You're going to start screwing them in place just a little bit to get them set. They're not tight, because this is going to give you balance on your lid. And I'm going to do the other side. Same thing. They're not tight. And then I'm going to do my last side. Okay? They're not tight. This is not ready to can. The next thing I'm going to go, and I'm going to go around same way, and I'm going to evenly put this under, lock it down. I'm not going to go here and here and then have this knot. I'm going to go here and here, okay? So you're making sure you're, and And then you're starting to just get it in. You're tightening down really good, real firm. But you're doing it till they don't go anymore. And it, hold on. My dog's driving me crazy, y'all. Okay, so they won't move anymore. And that means I've got it. I'm just checking one more time. So now I'm going around and making sure. And I'm going to bring you back down and show you what it looks like. But this is the top. Now, let me just bring you around just a little bit. I'm going to hit things. This is where your regulator goes. This is your venting. So when I first start this and I get it up, before it comes under pressure, it's got a vent. And I'll show you that for the 10 minutes. I'm going to time it. And then when I put my regulator on, when this gets up to 15 pounds of pressure, which I need my glasses to see right in here, it'll start rocking. And it should do, I've been told, 4 motions in a minute of a rock. So that lets you know it's definitely at that 15 pounds and it's moving. It won't be a real rapid rocker. It'll be a hula dancing girl, you know, kind of like you see dancing, a Hawaiian hula hoop girl. Anyway, I'm digressing. So that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to bring you back down. So hold on a second. Okay, so we're all set. And now I'm going to turn on my heat. It's plugged in. Let me turn it off a minute. I had to do a 10-minute burn off on this element to get the seasoning or whatever they call it on it. So I'm going to turn it on and I'm going to put it, that's warm. So I need to probably get over in the medium high, and that's where I'm going to start. And I'm going to watch this stinker because it needs to be watched. I will come back when maybe I'll turn it up to high to get that it started heating. And I think I'm pretty good on the circumference. The burner isn't over like too much. It looks like it's balanced on there. Let me check the back just to be case. Let's move it forward actually a little bit before it gets hot. Okay, so that it's on the center of that element. All right, so I'm gonna let this get hot. I've got it back a little. I got this on an extension cord, so I've got it wound up inside my arm and my thing, so I won't trip on it, Lord willing, and my dogs won't, because they recommend that, because this burner will be hot, and then you got a pressure canner to boot. Major disaster if it should happen. All right, so anyway, we're praying. And like I said, I'm not nervous. It's just a lot of things to take into consideration. My catico is new to me. It's been probably about 3.5, well, no, I just canned recently when I did the baked beans that I didn't like the seasoning of. But before that, I hadn't canned in a while. So I felt very confident doing the baked beans. I just didn't like the flavor. So we're going to try them again, and I'll do that. I got Ruth Ann's recipe, and I really look forward to trying to make them soon. So I just got to find room for everything, y'all. All right, I'm going to get off here, and I'll come back when it's venting. Okay, y'all, I don't think you can see it, but I have a very steady stream. That's called venting. I can't get my hand really close down, and that area is very hot. I'm going to let it vent 10 minutes before I put my regulator on, this is my regulator. It has a 5, 10, and 15. I don't know many areas that are that low below sea level that have a 5, but there are some, I guess. But I'm at 15 pounds of pressure. So once this vents for 10 minutes, I'll put my 15-pound pressure on, or regulator, I mean, at 15 pounds. And when it starts rocking, and my gauge starts getting up to that gets that 15 pounds, then that's when I'm going to time for 90 minutes for quarts. But here we are right now. I'm super excited to have it up to temp, y'all. So I'll be back in a little bit to show you what else is going on. Hey y'all, I'm giving you a little video clip where it's quiet so you can hear the venting, what it sounds like with a steady stream of venting. It is climbing on my little gauge if you see it, but that's okay. It's not under pressure because it's still venting steam for steam. Once you put your regulator on, it locks that steam in, and that's under pressure, and so it's at that point steaming it's steaming and under pressure to can your product. It's pushing all the air out of the canner, so it'll only be steam. As far as that's how I look at it. That's my understanding, I should say. Okay, y'all, we have liftoff. I had to turn up my heat a little bit, definitely. It wasn't wanting to stay at 15. Now I'm going to keep it at 15 and watch it. And I'm going to just watch it for a minute before I start my timer. Now you don't touch anything but your heat to adjust. I don't want it to climb any more, too much more. I want it to stay right in here, the sweet spot. I want it to stay at 15 pounds of pressure and a little over, not under at all. I had to adjust the heat because it definitely wasn't getting to the 15. See how it's moving? And then it slows itself down, does it again. The gauges moved back even with it, so it's now regulating the 15 pounds of pressure. I also want to tell you something about the American canner, because it is metal on metal. You always want to make sure your space is even all the way around the canner when you're putting your lid on, that it's not too high somewhere, so it's sealing down levelly. It's a little bit of playing with it, but if you don't, one of your clues will be that it's not on, your lid's not on right, is it won't come up to pressure. All right, y'all, my 90 minutes is done, and this is what I'm gonna do next. Instead of just turning my heat source completely off, I'm gonna turn it down so it starts coming off pressure slower, so that it hopefully will prevent my jars from siphoning. So let's do that. You can see right here, my sweet spot was, I was on high when I started, and I went medium high, and it did beautiful. I'm so happy with this burner. If you're questioning getting one for canning, it might be different for you, but because all canners are different, but this Catico works beautiful for canning. I'm so happy with it. All right, so I'm going to turn it down now to just below medium and let it start coming down. In about 10 minutes as it's dropping, I'm not going to do anything to the canner, but start lowering the heat a little, so it'll start dropping the pressure. So we're going to come back after a few minutes and I'll show you what it's doing, because I've never done it this way. I saw Ruth Ann at Homesteading with the Zimmermans. She did it this way and it made sense to me. It's already canned, it's 90 minutes. I don't do anything to start dropping that pressure until after the processing time is complete. Now that the timing is complete of 90 minutes for quart jars, I've dropped my temperature to just below medium, and it's gonna start, it should start bringing the pressure gauge down, and I'm gonna do it a couple times and then completely off, but I want to do it a little slower so that the jars have time to stabilize as I'm dropping that heat. All right, and I'm gonna leave it on the burner. I'm gonna let the burner completely cool, the canner completely cool, come completely off pressure before I do anything. Hey family, it is the next day. My camera died and I could not do the jars, bringing them out. I apologize for that. This is what they turned out like. It has been since it's been 12 hours, 13 hours. And they don't recommend you touch them until 18 hours. They turned out really beautiful. I'll take some snapshots of them too. But this was my All-American canner. The Caticle burner did beautiful. Beautiful. If you're interested and you do canning and you have glass top and you're sure if you should can on that and you'd like something else, let me know and I will put it in the link. The one I got, I'll put it in the description box for you, a link for it. The 4 jars, lids, they did beautiful. I am going to them for sure. You can definitely see the indentation. And they are all sealed. I'm trying to look through my camera to do it. But yeah, they're all sealed beautifully. I have now 7 cans of light red kidney beans for chili. Super excited. It was so easy. The one thing I was concerned about with the Catico was regulating heat to keep my canner at 15 pounds of pressure. It was so simple. It was easier than using my gas stove, to be honest. It was just so simple. And I am so happy with my All-American canner and the job that it did. And always remember, use safe canning practices. Always follow the time guides, you know, for timelines for your quarts, pints, whatever you're canning. Quarts is truly the biggest thing you can can with, and then down to pints, and then jelly jars of a few different sizes. I don't know all the sizes, but anyway, always use your canning times and things like that. They're your guidelines. You always stick by is the cook times, and for elevation, for your pounds for pressure. Anyway, that's it, y'all. I hope you enjoy this video I'm going to be getting ready to put up. These are them, and I am super excited. And I have my chili beans, or whatever I decide to use them for, back on my, I will be able to swish them in a little bit, not now. I still want them to stay right where they're at until I get that time frame where it's at least 18 hours, and that's in a little while. I'll take my rings off. I'll wash my jars. I'll label them and date them, because that's important too. And yeah, there they are. And they'll get pretty. Right now they're just doing their thing and being happy, sitting there all sealed and snug and safe to eat. So excited to have them back in my pantry though. I will be doing more because I think that I need probably about at least 14 jars. So I'm going to get ready to do another canning video for black beans and pints. Hope you'll come along for that. I love y'all. I hope you have a wonderful, God bless, Jesus-filled day. Till next time, let's talk in the comments.